comes to Wiley College, what do you think of? Think of a sleepy little town in Marshall, Texas? You think of a school that founded the SWAC? You think of a 10-time Southwestern Athletic League football champion, dominant school? Or do you think of the movie made in the early 2000s, The Great Debaters?
As long as schools are segregated, Negroes will receive an education that is both separate and unequal. By Oklahoma's own reckoning, the state is currently spending 5 times more for the education of a white child than it is spending to educate a colored child. That means better textbooks for that child than for that child. Oh, I say that's a shame, but my opponent says today is not the day for whites and coloreds to go to the same college, to share the same campus, to walk in the same classroom. Well, would you kindly tell me, when is that day gonna come? Is it gonna come tomorrow? Is it gonna come next week? In 100 years? Never?
Wiley College opened its doors just south of Marshall with 2 frame buildings and an overwhelming desire to succeed in the climate fraught with racism and Jim Crow laws. So entrenched was their desire to succeed that in 1980, rather than moving Wiley College further out of town, the founders of the college moved it nearer to Marshall, on 55 acres of wooded land where the college stands today. Among the visionaries of the era that moved Wiley College were Reverend F.C. Moore, Reverend W.H. Davis, Reverend N.D. Clifford, Reverend George Whitaker, and Reverend Dr. P.A. Poole. Some of the people who you may know from Wiley College include one of the pillars of the civil movement, James Farmer. One of the pillars. He was an African American, forget that, American civil rights activist and leader in the civil rights movement, who pushed for nonviolent protests to dismantle segregation and served alongside the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. He was the first initiator and organizer for the Freedom Ride in 1961. He also was the one who organized the sit-ins in the state of Texas. This is Wiley College. Wiley College has a history of championships. The school in Marshall has twice been crowned the prestigious Phi Kappa Delta National Debate Team winner, has scored 2 other national championships, and won about 2,500 other awards since reviving the long dormant debate program. Not bad for a campus of about 1,200 students, huh? The success wasn't lost on Denzel Washington, who returned to Wiley in the fall of 2015 to encourage students to keep it alive. Even whipped out a cell phone, took certain photos. Better yet still, made a pledge and a donation, $100,000 a year for 10 years till it reaches $1 million to go to the school. That is Wiley. Wiley was the head, the figurehead, and the leader of the civil rights movement in Texas in the 60s, even before the 60s. And now, with Wiley still thriving over in the small town of Marshall, Texas, it's ironic that Marshall is known for receiving the first telegraph in the state of Texas, because Wiley College has been the one leading the voice for Texas HBCUs. This is Coach Simmons. Consider this a preview of my visit to Marshall, Texas, to see Wiley College up close. Y'all stay tuned. We're going to see if Wiley can keep shining the light and the little small town of Marshall can keep letting Texas know that we're here. Coach Simmons, I'm out.
We aren't going to stop until a black skin is no longer considered a badge of deformity by the American people. We are not going to stop until the dogs stop biting little children in Alabama, until the rats in tenement slums in Harlem and 100 Harlems throughout the country stop biting our people. We are not going to stop until the bigots of the South and the North no longer challenge a man's right to live simply because he is asking for the rights which the Constitution says are his, as happened to NAACP Field Secretary Medgar Evers, who was shot and killed in Jackson, Mississippi. We are not going to stop, in a word, until we have the same rights that all Americans have. We are not going to stop until we have jobs and are not walking the street unemployed in a proportion which is more than 2 times as great as among whites. We are not going to stop until we have the right to a house, a decent home, an apartment, any place we choose to live. We are not going to stop until we have the right to enter any place which serves the public all over the country. We are not going to stop, in a word, until America becomes America for all people.